Right. Let's go to the Patrician's Palace. Oh no.
Two of the palace guards, ever vigilant for a potential intruder. Something like that, anyway. Shouldn't you have stopped me by now?
What? What do you mean?
Well, I'm practically into the palace itself, and you haven't even asked who I am.
We can already tell you aren't important.
Not important? I might be a foreign spy.
Accent's too clean for that. I'd say you were born here in Ankh-Morpork.
How can you tell?
Accents. He knows them all.
Ah, hidden talents, eh?
We're guards. All our talents are hidden.
So, you're members of the illustrious palace guards, are you?
Illustrious? Do you know what it means to be a palace guard? We're arrow fodder. If anyone with half-decent skills breaks into the palace, you'll be picking our limbs out of the tapestries.
So why do you do it?
It beats being in the city watch.
And the uniforms are much nicer, too. You used to be in the City Watch, didn't you?
You can tell that from my accent.
Would I lie to you?
So, you're an expert on accents.
Oh, yeah. I can tell all sorts of things about you.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
From the stress in your voice, I'd say you experienced a major emotional event about 8 years ago. You like to drink, but if you're not careful, you drink to excess. And you like whiskey.
That really is incredible. Anything else?
That's about it.
You didn't say which part of the city I was born in.
No, that's trickier.
You can tell that I drink whiskey from my accent, but you can't tell which part of the city I was born in.
Well, it comes and goes.
You don't know anything about accents, do you?
Of course he doesn't. He just has a good memory.
You were in the bucket a couple of years ago. You were probably too drunk to remember it.
A couple of years ago, I was too drunk to remember anything. So if you don't know anything about accents, how do you know I'm not a threat to the palace?
If you knew what it was we were guarding, you'd understand.
Is it really that dangerous working for the palace?
Oh, yeah. Our lives could come to a bloody end at any moment.
He's lying, of course. He's always lying. No enemies have ever entered Ankh-Morpork since it was founded.
What about the dwarf attack in the reign of Veltric II? Or the barbarian invasion in the time of Webblethorpe the Unconscious?
Well, of course, technically, we've been invaded quite frequently. But, you know how it is. The guys arrive, they meet a nice local girl, and anyway their leaders suddenly don't want all the big houses burned down because now they own them. And they find sleeping on real beds is a treat after all that time in the saddle. And what with one thing and another, it all ends peacefully.
In other words, you don't have much to do.
Well, there's a lot of standing around to do, but it's not like the golden age of the kings of Ankh.
The golden age?
Well, it was a time long enough ago that no one can remember how wretched it was.
What is it you're guarding?
Every way into and out of the palace has to be guarded, and we guard one of those.
That's a little vague.
We guard the vital export of post-palatial merchandise.
We guard the trash heap.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
Where is it?
The trash heap? It's around the corner.
But don't steal anything. That's palace garbage. By royal appointment.
Well, by the patrician's appointment.
That's good enough for me.
Do you know a lot about the kings of Ankh?
Oh, sure. The whole history of the monarchy.
How come?
Oh, hanging around palaces. You pick up that kind of thing.
What happened to the kings of Ankh?
Well, the real line came to an end about 2,000 years ago. And after that, we got 17 centuries of a monarchy where the crown was available to anyone with enough soldiers and a strong stomach.
That couldn't have been very stable.
Stable? Ha! Not many lines survived more than 2 or 3 generations. Some of them didn't even make it to the end of the coronation feast.
The shortest reign on record was that of Loyola the Arg, at 1.13 seconds.
Can't have been much of a monarch.
That's nothing. For a week, Ankh-Morpork was technically ruled by a wasp. And for several days, by the left foot of the High Priest of Io, who dropped the crown on it during the crucial point of the ceremony.
The foot was one of the better rulers, apparently. Made good decisions.
Does the word Azil mean anything to you?
I can't help you with that, son.
Can you think of any reason that Mundy might have been hung upside down before he was killed?
We don't know nothing about any murders, all right?
What do you know about a woman named Carlotta?
I don't know him.
Me neither.
Do you know a troll by the name of Malachite?
I don't know him.
Me...
Do you know a woman named Ilsa or a man named Two-Conkers?
I don't know him.
What do you know about a dwarf named Al-Kali?
I don't know him.
The palace guards, they don't know a lot.
Do you know anything about the counterweight killings?
Have we heard that a mad assassin is coming after the patrician? Of course.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to ignore the prospect of being carved up by some psychopathic killer.
If he's a good assassin, he wouldn't need to kill any of the guards.
That's not very comforting, is it? I mean, our only hope of survival is that this guy is good enough that we don't stand a chance against him.
Well, what's the worst that could happen?
You mean apart from being hacked into minced beef by a foreign killer?
I suppose he might just kill the patrician and let us live. Then we'd only have to worry about being killed by the Assassin's Guild.
What?
He's got this idea in his head that the patrician has given an advance to the Assassin's Guild so that in the event of his death, all of his bodyguards meet the same fate.
Where did you get that idea from?
This priest down at the Temple of Small Gods, he knows everything that's going on in the city.
This priest you mentioned, his name wouldn't be Malaclips, would it?
That's the one. Do you know him?
We've met. What do you make of him?
I reckon he's the only one in the city who knows what's really going on.
Which is funny, because I think he's a deranged lunatic whose only pleasure in life is getting gullible fools to listen to him.
So, I'm a gullible fool, am I? Who bought those magic beans off that gypsy the other month?
Hey, you should have tried the casserole we made with them. It was magic.
Do you know anything about Count von Uberwald?
Sorry, can't help you.
Do you know a troll by the name of Jasper Horst?
I don't know him.
I didn't want to discuss this was clear. The jewel wasn't... The palace buys a lot of wine, doesn't it?
Why do you want to know?
Just a casual interest in wine.
Your only interest in alcohol is whiskey, and that's more than a casual interest.
It's a hobby.
Most hobbies don't leave you unconscious on the barroom tiles.
Where do the barrels end up?
Around the corner.
Well, when they've been emptied, they do.
Do you know anything about the
Do we look like...
Do you know any...
Do we...
With the assassins... I had a feeling that...
Okay.
See you around.
If you say so.
So they said, yeah, there we go.
The empty barrels at the foot of the palace wall looked like they used to have wine in them. As far as I could tell, the barrels were just like the ones in the wine cellar of the Café Ankh, although these ones were empty.
Why can I look
The
at the...
palace walls were useful for keeping intruders out and keeping the roof in place. What was I going to do? Scale the walls with my bare hands?
Okay, so there's barrels here which I can't do anything with. Okay. Not much more I can do here. Nope, still nothing.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has.
Who would Sir like to see?
I'm gonna talk to you.
I didn't. This. Do you know anything about the wine barrels the milker was carrying?
I'm sorry. I cannot...
The von Uberwalds had a crate on the milker. Did you know anything about it?
Why Sir insists on believing that I know everything that goes on in this house is beyond my comprehension.
Do you know anything?
Sir has...
With the Do you know anything about the counterweight killings?
I don't know anything about...
Do you know a troll by the name of Jasper Horst?
Regrettably, sir.
What can you tell me about the Count?
I regret to inform, sir, that the Count's health has been in gradual decline and that he will probably not live to see the new year.
That's 5 months away.
Sir's grasp of mathematics dazzles me, sir.
What's the problem?
Merely that, unlike Sir, I have not been blessed with a truly dizzying intellect.
With the Count, I mean.
The Count's health has been failing for some years now, but I believe he has never been so bad as since the loss of his one companion.
His companion? Who's that?
I fear that my idle tongue has already revealed too much of the Count's private affairs, and I would ask that Sir respect the Count's privacy, lest I be forced to provide Sir with a thick ear.
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
Your interest in the Mundy case wouldn't have something to do with your missing companion, would it?
Why, Mr. Luton, I'm impressed. You actually do have some detective skills.
What's the deal?
He was my friend. Perhaps my last friend. He was a dwarf of simple tastes, and when I was younger, he drove my carriage for me. These days, given that I am confined to the conservatory, I have no need for a driver, but I kept Rekin on the payroll so that I should have someone to talk to.
When did he go missing?
3 days ago. He took the carriage out that night and has not been seen since.
And you thought Carlotta might have employed me to look for him?
I was hoping, yes.
You could always employ me to find him.
Wouldn't that be a conflict of interests?
I don't see why. Anyway, there isn't a conflict of interest that I know about that couldn't be solved with a generous cash settlement.
Be assured that if you can find Regan, I can offer you substantial recompense.
Then I'll see what I can do. The Count gave me an iconograph of Reagan to help my investigations. My mind was already racing. 3 days ago, the Milka arrives. 3 days ago, Reagan disappears. Now, I believe in coincidences. Coincidences happen every day. But I don't trust coincidences. Something deeper was going on here, and I was going to find out what. Because I can't stand a secret, and because I have a burning need to find the truth. But mostly because there was a wad of money in it for me if I found out. Do you know a troll named Jasper Horst?
Horst? Horst? Is Horst here in Ankh-Morpork? Mark my words, young man. This is poor augur for us all. Yes, yes. I suspect we shall find Horst is involved in Reagan's disappearance.
Frankly, I'm not convinced he has anything to do with Reagan's disappearance.
Well, all the same, watch your step if Horst is in town.
I didn't want this. The.
Oh my god, I'm gonna...
Do you know anything about
Fuck
the
off.
wine barrels the milker was carrying?
I'm sorry, but
Do you know anything about the crate?
please.
Do you know any... With the... Is there anything useful you could tell me about Reagan that would help me find him?
Only that he was a dwarf, a good driver, and that he liked a rat burger as much as the next dwarf.
I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.